Hey, what is up, church? Thank you so much for being with us today. I have a story I want to share with you before we get into our text. I don't know if you've ever been deep sea fishing, and a couple years ago I had the opportunity to go with my family. Deep sea fishing is a little bit different than normal fishing. You get in the boat and you travel for hours and hours away from the land. And there's something that happens when you go deep sea fishing. There is the opportunity to get seasick. Now, I don't know if you've ever experienced seasickness, but it is rough. And we start driving out, and we're probably like 30 minutes into this. We have a couple more hours before we get to our destination, and it begins to hit me. I begin to get nauseous. My stomach's upset. I'm in a full-blown panic. What am I going to do? This trip is just starting, and I am seasick. I'm holding on for dear life. I am praying. I'm trying not to embarrass myself in front of the captain and my family. And while all of this is going on, I'm going through this super traumatic experience. I look down, and my girlfriend and my current wife is asleep on the boat. Chelsea is peacefully sleeping while I am going through this battle. I am trying to hold on, feel like I'm going to die, and she is at rest. And so that's kind of the story that we're going to talk about today. The disciples are going through a storm, and Jesus is asleep in the boat. So let's read our text today. This is Mark 4:38 through 39. Jesus was sleeping at the back of the boat with his head on a cushion. The disciples woke him up shouting, "Teacher, don't you care that we're going to drown?" When Jesus woke up, he rebuked the wind and said to the waves, "Silence, be still." Suddenly the wind stopped and there was a great calm. So I want you to think about this. Sometimes we kind of look at the disciples like, man, you had a little storm, you had Jesus on the boat. I want to set this up for you. The disciples were experienced fishermen. These were men who understood the waters. They've been there before. They have been through storms. If they are worried that they are about to drown, this was a real storm. This was something that was so intense that they legit thought they were going to drown. So if you have somebody who's experienced, this storm must have been pretty bad. Well, you have their panic, but look at what Jesus is doing. Jesus is asleep. He's taking a nap in the back of the boat. So here's a couple points I want to take from this passage, and I think that we can apply to our own lives. The first one is this: we are going to go through storms. You know, going through storms is as natural as it's going to rain outside. Okay, it's going to happen. Part of living in Louisiana, I know that we're going to get lots of rain, and there are going to be times where we have hurricanes. That's just a part of living in South Louisiana. The same way, as a Christian and just as a person living in this world, you are going to go through storms. Sometimes you're going to go through storms of just life and circumstances. Sometimes you're going to have attacks from the enemy, or sometimes you're going to go through a series of testing or a season of faith where your faith has to grow a bit. We are going to go through storms. The second thing is notice that the disciples go to Jesus and they say, "Jesus, do you not care?" You know, it can be easy for us as Christians to sometimes try to put on a brave face and be like, "Oh yeah, I got it all together. Everything's going fine." But the reality is, internally, we're asking ourselves the question of, "God, where are you at? God, do you really care that I am going through this circumstance?" Sometimes we have trouble being vulnerable and transparent with God about where we're really at. The third thing, and this is two reasons why I think that we really go through storms. And this isn't the only reason I think we go through storms, but these are two reasons that I really think that we go through it. Notice what happens. The disciples wake Jesus up, and Jesus speaks to the storm, and the waves grow quiet. The storm is still. What happened is the storm allowed the disciples to see the power of Jesus in their life. And here's what I want to tell you. When we go through storms, it is an opportunity for us to see the power of God displayed in our lives. The second thing is it allows other people to see the power of God displayed in our life. What I mean by that is think the disciples had a firsthand experience with this. But then thousands of years later, we get to read about it, and it helps our faith to grow as well. When we go through things in life, and we go through storms and we go through battles, what happens is it becomes a testimony to other people about God's faithfulness in our own life. And then it allows them to take that hope and apply it to their life. Think about when you've heard about somebody who's gone through something difficult and God came through for them. Maybe you've heard a missionary who was on a field and somebody miraculously got healed. Or you hear of somebody who was in a financial situation and it was rough, but all of a sudden God delivered them the money. Think about how your faith is built up through that. So I think that one, we go through it so we can see God's power. Secondly, we can show other God's power. So here's my application for you. You're not going to drown if Jesus is in your boat. If Jesus is with you, you don't have to worry about the boat going down. Secondly, it's okay to talk to other people about what God is doing in your life. It's okay to talk to people about, hey man, God did this for me. God used this situation and he turned it out. It was going in a bad direction, but he turned it around and he used it for his good. I think a lot of the times the reason that we go through storms, not only to build our own faith, but it's so that we can encourage others and give them hope. Well, church, I hope that you've been encouraged today, and I hope you have been enjoying these daily devotionals. We love you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.